All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Do Our Things podcast. I'm your host, Jay Teagues, certified high performance coach. And what am I? I'm a certified high performance coach, running coach. I'm your transformational mindset coach, and I'm still waiting for the coffee to kick in because my brain is not quite working this morning. And I have in studio with me my lovely co-host, Angi Betrayan. Angi, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Who are you and what do you do? You have a title? You have a Angi
Betrayan. Angi Betrayan, photographer, athlete,
You're
friend,
also a running
mom.
coach, aren't you?
I read it. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So here we go.
We'll have to do this one. It's not like so early in the morning.
Level 1, Road Runners Club of America, RRCA, level 1 running coach. And I'm also USATF, USA Track and Field, level 1 certified as well. So yeah, here we go. Awesome. And I'm sore. I'm very sore.
And you're sore. Yeah, because you guys did Dogwood this weekend. I missed out on that one this weekend. But tell us about what you did.
Oh, so Saturday was amazing. So here, I'm going to describe it the way it was described to me the first time I did it. Saturday, Dogwood is going to be an amazing, beautiful, scenic trail run through the woods. You're going to love it. It's my most favorite race ever. And you're just going to have the best time of your life. So all those things are true. However, those hills, can we call them mountains? I mean, I'm sure we can't call them mountains because we're in Missouri and there's really not mountains here, but it felt like mountains. Like okay, so an incline of 1,300 may not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but dude, when you're like stopping midway and you got your hands on your hips, you're just like, I mean, nobody that was in my middle pack bracket was running up those hills. I mean, I'm sure in the front of the pack, there was people killing the hills, and hey, I'm gonna give it all to you. But yeah, so, and then Saturday, that was Saturday. So we did a 25K Saturday at Dogwood. And then we went back again Sunday and we did a 15K. So we did the 25K, 15K challenge. You could do either or. You could also do a 50K. So got some friends that knocked out that 50K Saturday. Yeah, and we just had a blast. The weather was beautiful. It was cold, so cold. But don't let the cold scare you because I mean, once you get out there and you're hot, like all it takes is running through the park and getting up that first hill. Then you start warming up and you feel good and ready to go.
Yeah, the Dogwood Trail Races, for those that may never aren't familiar with it, it's a trail run put on by Bass Pro, and it's down in their lovely property, Dogwood Canyon, which is just outside of Branson. And it's definitely a destination that you need to put on your travel bucket list. If you're a runner, you definitely need to put that on your running plan list. But it's really what it is the rest of the year. It's basically just this beautiful scenic park where they have like these little tours that they take you through with all these little like waterfalls and streams, and just everything that Bass Pro does is top notch. But it's just a wonderful property. And it's the only time of year where they allow people to go like really deep, because if you're doing a 50K, you're going back, quite a ways. And it is beautiful, but yes, incredibly hilly. And we're talking about some steep Ozark hills because you're right there at the base of the Ozark Plateau. And it's a tough course. It's pretty spicy.
It is. But hey, they have bald eagles there, and we had a bald eagle fly over us Saturday morning before the race. What? As we were getting ready to go, it was so cool. Yeah, it's amazing. No, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of the prettier races scenically that I've done, and they put on a fantastic event. So if you're a runner, you definitely got to put Dogwood Canyon on your bucket list. So, which leads us to our topic today: runner or hiker. Yeah. Which leads us to our topic today is just providing some recovery tips. I've got like 7 recovery tips. We're going to touch about 7 to 8 recovery tips this morning. Talk about how can you recover properly after an effort. And Angi and I are both we're both fitness instructors. We're passionate about the sport, so we've got some tips here that can really help you. And the way that I tell my runners all the time is like, look, recovery is one of those things that's usually dreaded. We don't want to do it, but recovery is a critical component to your training. And look, we've all been sore after a big effort. but you can mitigate the effects of the soreness and the stiffness and recover faster, which will help improve your overall fitness and get you back doing hard things faster without pain.
Yes.
So
Yes.
these things are easy to do. They're also easy not to do, which I say that a lot, but if you actually do them, you'll recover faster. And if you do these, like this isn't just after a major event. This should be part of your normal routine. We're going to highlight some things. So Angie, what you want to tee the first one up?
Yeah. So first, let me ask you, Jay, what happens to your muscles when you exercise? What happens? Why are we even talking about this? Why am I sore today?
Yeah, well, ultimately you're breaking things down, right? You're ripping and tearing your muscles. You're inflaming the fascia and all the things, which that's what you're doing. You're doing this heavy exercise. You're lifting, you're running, and it causes damage to your body. So it's breaking down.
And what is the soreness usually when people call like second day? What are they talking about? DOMS. What does that stand for?
DOMS.
Delayed onset of muscle soreness.
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
and a lot of that, it's just inflammation is what it is. And it just needs to be, that's where it's through that recovery process of it, everything rebuilding is where you get stronger. So it's not during the exercise itself, it's in the recovery aspect, which is often overlooked. And if you do good recovery, you'll rebuild and repair faster, which makes you stronger.
Hey, and when you're about to tell us about maybe passive recovery, active recovery, but when you talk about rest days, are you saying with a rest day, should I just go chill on the couch with some chips and Netflix and just wait for this muscle soreness to go away? Is that the best way to
No,
do
we're
this?
talking about active recovery, because I think I'm a proponent of. There's a lot of fitness gurus out there that say, hey, you work out 3 days a week and you take the rest of the time off. You take the other days off. I don't really believe that. I think that you should be doing something every single day, even on your rest days, in air quotes. But your rest days are some form of active recovery. Those are good days to go for a swift walk, maybe a very, very light jog, maybe a slow spin, yoga, some stretching. I think that you should be doing something every day of the week. And I think that keeps you from missing days. Because if you're doing like the, hey, I'm going to work out every other day, it's easier to kind of skip a day because you're busy. But if you make it a point to do something every day, you'll do something every day. And even on your lightest day, you do something like a walk or yoga. It's better than doing nothing, like you said, sitting on the couch eating potato chips. That's the exact opposite.
Okay.
So that's what I believe.
All right. Hey, what tips you got for us? Let's get into it.
So the first one that I've got is proper fueling. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. This is even before this isn't just like right after the exercise. This is just in general. So just proper healthy diet. I think that you are doing yourself a disservice if you are working out hard, like you're a hard training athlete, whether it be running or you're lifting, but then you're eating a bunch of junk food, which is, because we work out hard so we can eat whatever we want. But if you eat whatever you want and you don't fuel your body properly with the nutrients it needs, I think you're actually doing more harm to your body. And if you think about it, it's like you're burning a lot of additional calories and you need fuel. And so you need more nutrients. And if you're just eating junk food and you're putting that stress on your body, I think it can be more detrimental than if you did nothing and you know what I'm saying? I think.
Yeah. I was
So,
going to say you can't outrun, you can't outwork a bad diet. So
absolutely.
if you're looking at calorie for calorie, if you're a calorie counter, hey, look, I'm not here to debate different ways that people fuel their bodies, but you got to look at the nutrient value of the calories that you're putting in your body. All right, check it out. Look and see how healthy those are.
Absolutely. And this is from my own personal experience. The very first marathon that I ran was the Honolulu Marathon. I think this was like 2001 or maybe 2002. I was a really fast runner. I was training for like 5Ks and 10Ks. This was back when I was throwing down like 5-minute miles. Like I could run a 5K in like 15s. And so I was kind of confident. Like I always wanted to run a marathon, but I didn't do a lot of training. Just cocky, young, towed the line at that marathon and took off pretty fast. But I hit that 18 at mile 18. I crashed and burned. I hit that wall so freaking hard. And the thing, I didn't properly fuel the entire race. I didn't fuel. And when I was done with that marathon, I was so freaking sore. I remember because it was I couldn't remember where I parked my car and I had to walk back to my car and find my car. I remember I was in tears. I was crying because I was in such pain. Like my body had broken down so hard. And a lot of that was due to, well, lack of training, but I think it was ultimately I cramped so bad from lack of fuel. And for the week after that, I could barely walk. I got home. I could barely get myself up the stairs. I got myself in the bathtub. I was in pain. And what I learned was a big part of that was, well, not only lack of training, but the lack of nutrition. And I just put my body through something like that. So that's when I learned 4-to-1 carb to protein ratio after a hard effort can really mitigate and speed up recovery. And basically what that means is 4 parts carb to 1 part protein. It's a nice mix after a hard effort. And one of the easiest ways to do that, and it sounds counterintuitive, people say I'm crazy, chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is an easy way to get that 4-to-1 carb to protein ratio. But what are your thoughts on nutrition in regards to exercise?
So if you had access to my food log yesterday, you'd see that I fueled pretty well during the event. I'll say last night I kind of ate like a trash panda. Had some pizza and
trash panda.
Sure did. But leading up to the race, I made sure that I got my gallon of water in every day. I wanted to be properly hydrated. Lack of hydration will definitely cause cramps. I have been, I want to say lucky, but pretty smart actually. I started running about 4 years ago, and I've never experienced cramps until I ran my 50K in September. And I think that's because, and even though I was hydrated, right? I just feel like it was so hot. I was kind of flushing those nutrients out of my body quicker than I could replenish them. And so that's the only time I cramped, and I don't ever want to experience that again. And so I've really been trying to be super cognizant of making sure I'm hydrated prior to the event, not the day before, not the night before, but every day before the event, being just hydrated, so I made sure I was hydrated before Dogwood. I've been eating really well. I'm not perfect. 80% really, really good and 20% whatever, you know what I mean? And then during the race, I personally, I like sports gels. And so I take a sports gel every 3 miles generally. Yesterday, there was a couple times going up a couple of those really steep hills where I could feel like the tops of my calves, they kind of were like twinging. And I was making me traumatic flashbacks from the 50K. And I was like, oh no, I do not want to cramp. So it didn't matter what mile I was at. I popped open a sports gel, took it down, chased it with some water, and I didn't cramp yesterday. I haven't cramped at all, which is great. I mean, I think what is that? We did 15 and some change miles Saturday. We ended up doing 9.8 miles yesterday. So combined total of 24, 5-ish for the weekend. Really hard miles. They were not easy miles, very, very hard miles. And I didn't cramp at all. And so for me and my body, I attribute that to being properly hydrated, fueling properly, taking advantage of the aid stations. They had dates. They had, chocolate covered coffee beans. And that, to someone who's not out there doing it, they think that's trash. Well, no, when you're out there doing really hard things, there's different ways to fuel your body. But I personally like the gels. I like gels. And then afterward, chase it down after the race, chase it down with a protein shake and oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it has a lot of really good fast absorbing carbohydrates for your muscles. And so it's just a shake you can mix up. It's got BCAAs and all kind of other stuff in it. And so I did that both days. Along with the celebratory beer. but
Yeah, absolutely.
that's not nutritional, but trail running, whatever. But yeah, that's what I did yesterday, and that's what I try to do on a consistent basis. And I'm sore today. Don't get me wrong, I'm sore. And as soon as I got out of bed this morning, I was like, oh, I could feel it, But
Yeah.
it's not an. Once I got across the house and I'm walking back and forth, I'm dressed, I'm out of the shower, I feel great. I mean, I'm going to I've got an appointment with my trainer this morning at 9:00, so I'll be in the gym this morning.
Awesome. You bring up a great point with the hydration bit. And if you've never experienced cramps before, cramps is it's one of the 3 heat injuries. It's the onset. You get that little twins. It's the onset of cramps. But cramps is a heat injury. You also have heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Okay, so they get progressively worse. But you know that you're on the path of getting a heat injury when cramps is usually the one of the first signs, in addition to like headache and things like that. Headache's usually the first thing. But if you never I remember experienced cramps once. This is during a military exercise, and I've done it during running as well. But this one really freaked me out. As an engineer, we pound pickets. So you got this big, heavy picket pounder. We're pounding in pickets. Yeah. This was in Hawaii. And I remember it was like really hot, and we've been doing operations nonstop. I was pounding the picket, and all of a sudden my arm went whoop like this. I was like, what the hell was that? I'm like trying to get my arm back down, to push it back down, and it goes right back up like this. And then not long after that, this one went like this. And I felt like a little tiny T-Rex, and I couldn't get my arms down because my arms had just cramped up like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a bad way. So went over, we had docs, so we got an IV, was able to get an IV in me, quickest way to hydrate. And I caught it in time, but that really freaked me out. I had never experienced that before, but cramping is bad. Cramping's bad. So, and that really boils down to your nutrition and hydration. That's how you avoid that. So.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, and nutrition is one of those things, especially during a run. It's one of those things that everyone has to kind of play around with. I like the rule of thumb of after an hour, you've depleted most of your glycogen. So you need about 100 calories every 15 minutes. I don't eat every 15 minutes, but every half hour, I'll snack on something. And then I like to use tailwind in my water. So not just drinking water directly, but having some electrolytes in it, some calories. So I can drink my calories. But goos, I don't do well. Some people do. I don't know. It's just one of the things you got to play around with. But bottom line is, don't. Your nutrition is critically important during the event, and will mitigate soreness after the event.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, going back to that really quick, every day. So I have a routine every day. Most of my friends know this, but as soon as I get up, I've got a big sparkly cup. This is what works for me. A big sparkly cup, 30 ounces. Fill it with cold water and Pre-Play. Pre-Play is what I use. I scoop a Pre-Play. It's got electrolytes. It's got all kind of stuff. There's all kind of different electrolyte replenishment products out there. So you got to, like Jay said, you got to work with what works for your body. That works for me. I do this every single morning. As soon as my feet hit the floor, I hit the kitchen, fill up my cup, and I start drinking it. And I drink 30 ounces within the first hour of being up. And I don't even drink my coffee until I get my water in. Like I've already had 30 ounces. I'm on my second cup now and that's how I kind of make myself earn my water. So if you're a person that has issue getting water in because you're starting off with coffee, start making yourself earn it and just drink that water. Get a little habit, little routine going, and just get those little baby steps in there.
I drink at least a pint, but I'll have 2 before my first hour. So I wake up and I go down and just chug 1 or 2 pints of water. Usually, a lot of times I will start off with some type of pre-workout if I'm doing some type of weightlifting routine or something like that, or like lighter cardio. But I mean, you just got to think you've been sleeping for 7 hours. You haven't ingested any water or any food. You're kind of waking up in a fasted state, and you're dehydrated. Your body needs that. And when you start drinking that water first thing in the morning, you can start to feel like your guts and everything else is starting to like move and like things are starting to percolate. It's just really good for you. It's a really good habit.
Yeah.
So hydration. All right. So let's talk about like stretching. What do you think about stretching?
I think stretching is imperative. I think as runners, we forget to stretch a lot of the times. We get excited. We're there before the race. I am guilty. I did not stretch yesterday before the race, but I did stretch after the race. I think just it's really good to really good for your body, really good for your muscles. Get those stretches in there. What about you? Do you Do you stretch on the reg?
So yes, I do I do I call it the lunge matrix and leg swings prior to every run.
Mm-hmm.
And people look at me funny every time I do it. I'll show up and I immediately it's basically 5 different lunge movements and then some quick leg strings. I or swings. I grew up doing static stretching before a run, but if you do that cold and you like bend over at the waist, like you can actually tear something. And
Mm-hmm.
been a lot of talk in the sports science on whether pre-stretching is good for you or not. I think active stretching is good for you. I think it's imperative because you want to loosen up the muscles. And as a runner, the body movements that I do in that can basically be used for anything because you're
Mm-hmm.
the lunge matrix, you're doing complete lunges, right? And then at the end, you're doing leg swings. I think if you're working the upper body, you do some upper body movements. But it only takes like 5 minutes, and it basically warms up every aspect of what you would face as a runner. And I know for a fact I know doing that has significantly reduced my I can't think this morning. I'm prone to shin splints, and it has that combining that with yoga has significantly reduced my proneness to injury.
Yeah. So when people hear static stretching versus dynamic stretching, static stretching would be just like standing in one spot, doing a stretch, taking what's
Like
a
you're standing
common
there and you take your foot and put it up your ankle and you're standing there holding it, right?
yeah. All right, so that's something you see people do. Dynamic stretching is movement, warming your body up, being in movement while you're not just holding a stretch, you're
Yeah.
moving while you're stretching. And so yeah, dynamic stretching is personally my preference. And just like you said, there is different thoughts in the exercise community on which one's better for what. And I'll tell you, sometimes I'm tired. Like if my trainer should be like, "Hey, I want you to go stretch as your cool down," and if my mind is blanking on what I need to stretch exactly, I'll just go to YouTube and pull up a 15-minute upper body yoga stretch, and then I got my headphones in and I'm there at the gym already, and then I just do what they tell me to do. But it's it's that dynamic, that active stretching.
Yeah, absolutely. You spend a lot of time doing it, like 10, 15 minutes at most. And
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly important to do that. So it's yeah, keeps you loose and limber, and especially pre warm up, just doing that dynamic, I think just get your body and mind right. So now the next thing I like to do is the foam rolling and self myofascial release. And that's really using the foam gun, right? The foam roller and the Theragun. And really what that does is basically that soreness that you're feeling and that tenderness, it's usually all your fascia, which is like it's that coating that's surrounding your muscles and keeping it in place, is really kind of getting tight and inflamed. And so when you get up out of bed this morning, you're like, oh shit, that's what you're feeling. It's like all that fascia throughout your body, like just being really stiff and sore, and getting it kind of moving. And foam rolling, we call it the poor man's massage. Foam roller is just a chunk of foam, like rounded off. And, you kind of put your body through the motions there. Yeah. Angie's got hers handy. Looks like a torture device. And it feels like that when you're using it. But it basically loosens all that fascia for you. And the guns, you see a lot of people now that really become really popular. It's basically doing the same thing, just sitting there beating your muscle. You just kind of, and that will significantly reduce soreness. And so definitely also, on an active recovery day. Oh, go
ahead. There's a stick, a roll. I was just looking around because I thought I had my stick handy. The stick. So we went on that llama race a couple weeks ago, and Sherry brought along a travel stick. And so we used it in the vehicle. We didn't, it's not, you don't have to plug it in, you don't have to charge it. And you just get that blood flow into the tissue there. And it was just great. And so I actually ended up buying one and took it with us and kept it in the car. We went and did a little shopping after our 25K on Saturday, but in the car while we were, on the way to the shopping center, we were using the stick to roll out our muscles and to get that blood flowing. You don't have to use, so I got a massage after my 50K, and the massage therapist was actually telling me it's better to go a little bit lighter in the first few days after very hard, after that 50K, right? Just ripping up your muscles, that you should kind of lightly massage, lightly get that blood flow, and that will really help your muscles heal quicker versus a really hard pounding, like using the Theragun. He was like, just give it, 24 to 48 hours for you use your Theragun. Just use like something like the stick or like a foam roller, but lightly, just to improve that circulation. So you might want to look at that. I mean, they're super inexpensive. They're super portable. You can keep it in your car. I'm gonna keep mine in my car. I know it's not in my car right now because I was using it last night. But yeah, that's a very inexpensive way to help muscle recovery.
The stick reminds me of like a rolling pin you'd use in baking, or would
Yeah.
like chase grandpa around with the house. Right?
Yeah.
It's portable and easy, quick and easy to use, and it makes a
Yeah.
significant difference.
It does.
Next thing is, in this one, people are going to cringe when I say this, the cold water immersion. Cold water immersion, I think, is incredibly helpful after a good exercise, and it's the pros use it. They got those ice tubs in the back of their in the gym, right, or the locker room. But cold water immersion is technically, you want to try to get as cold as possible, but like 59 degrees is kind of the rule of thumb for that. And you can do that with ice baths, which is a little bit more, takes a little bit more effort to do that. But you can take a cold shower, a brisk daily shower, like 3 to 5 minute shower will help. Outdoor swim. So if you got something nearby, like a little plunge pool, or you got maybe a pool in your backyard, I don't know what that is. Maybe a creek or a stream. At Dogwood, like we got in the creek right afterwards. The last couple of times we ran. And when we run downtown in the in our town, we've got the Ruby Doo Spring. A lot of times we'll go down there and we'll hit the spring and sitting there for about 15 minutes. And really, what you're doing is it just that the benefit of it is it mitigates muscle soreness. It gives you, like, if you're hot, a faster cool down if you're overheated, and it can also ease the symptoms of depression and boost your immune system. So there's so many like great health benefits from doing the cold water. But yes, it's painful. It sucks when you first get in there, but it's really helpful. Now you and I have done a cold water immersion, because the last time we were down in the park, I think we hopped in. So what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, so the thought of cold water immersion is worse than the actual act of doing it, right? So this weekend, our race started out at 20 degrees. I didn't look at the temperature post race, but it wasn't that much higher. Okay. And so during Dogwood, you have water crossings. And so I'm just this is just a little leading up to that. But yesterday especially was record low temps for that 50K. It was 20 degrees. So my toes were felt frozen. It felt like my feet were rocks, but you have water crossings there in Dogwood. And so the thought of running through cold water, you're like, in 20-degree weather, oh, hell no. But then when you start running through, it was like the water thawed out my feet. And then I could feel my toes and I could feel my feet. My feet were like, yay, this feels great. And there were a lot of water crossings yesterday through cold water, but it felt so refreshing and so good on my feet and calves. Like, it was amazing. But afterward, we went and set a timer, and we got in the lake there outside of the little resort we were staying at, and stood there up to our waist in cold water. And the water felt warmer than the outside temperature, but it felt amazing. And for me, I feel like it reduces inflammation. I just feel so much better. I feel better mentally. If you just got to get past that initial thought of, oh my God, I'm about to go stand in cold water. Just go do it. Just go do it. Do it.
And what I like about doing a cold water blast as part of my daily routine in the shower is that it wakes you up. It reminds me of like if you were to thaw out like a chunk of ice, you put a big hunk of ice out on the counter, right? It would take probably till noon to really start getting a lot of water. It's almost like it's like putting yourself in the microwave, like an instant wake up. Like, it really does. It works faster than so I like the feeling of feeling like refreshed it also gives me a sense of gratitude because I'm like, you know what? Like I just did that hard thing. I'm
Yes.
fully awake, but it's that first 30 seconds that are the worst. But once you get through that first 30 seconds, like, okay, we're starting the day. But there's just something about doing that difficult task that's easy to do in the shower that gives me a sense of gratitude. And I like it. I like it. Now, I don't take a cold shower every single day. There are days like I'm not doing that today. But by and large, I always do a cold blast, and it's really good for so many reasons. So cold water
and
immersion, try it.
Yeah. Also, hey, listen, I don't do a cold shower every day, but I will tell you, in the summer times, after a long run, I do go down and get in that cold water. I get in that spring, and then when I have access to it, or if I have to make a cold ice bath after a long run in the wintertime, ice bath. Just try it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do those hard things. You will. I promise you. You will thank me afterward. You will.
Yeah.
You'll remember this. You'll thank me.
Give it a try. Because people out there are like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm telling you, it'll make a believer out of you. I tell you, in that cold water down in the spring, there's something about it. I mean, historically, people went down there for, a variety of different reasons. But after a really long run and being in there for 15 minutes, that super cold water, like about an hour afterwards, I just feel there's no other sensation like it. It's almost like my blood is just like recirculating in my body, and I feel it, and I feel so rejuvenated afterwards. It feels really good. There's nothing else like it.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And then finally, finally on my list of what I have this morning, I was thinking about if you have an injury, maybe you've developed a little bit of soreness, a little tenderness, and I tell my runners, I'm very conservative as a running coach, but if you feel a pain on a scale of 1 to 10 at a 2, you feel that running related injury. That's when we need to. It's kind of like a red flag. We need to address that because running is so hard on your body. It can that 2 can easily get up to a 6 pretty quick. But if you've done a hard effort and you have some type of something that requires you to take some time off, just remember the RICE method. RICE method is rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And utilizing that methodology will help you get back in the fight a little bit quicker. So take care of yourself. Rest, so immobilize whatever's hurting you and ailing you. Don't put a lot of time and pressure on it because you're just beating it up even more. You're aggravating it even more. So you need some time off, and that's hard for a lot of people. Ice it, okay? So cold therapy reduces the pain and numbing and helps with that blood circulation. Compression keeps the swelling under control. It also helps with circulation, and then keeping it elevated. So keeping the injured body part above the heart to keep it from swelling and associated pain with discomfort associated with that. Utilize that method and keep that in your back pocket when you're having an ailment. So this is as needed.
Yeah. No, I agree. Mm-hmm.
What else? What else are we missing?
Oh, let's see. I just like to circle back to rest day. What does rest day mean? Rest day does not mean unless you are injured. Okay, unless you're injured. I'm not talking about you injured folks. I'm not talking about us injured folks. Anyone that has a true injury and the doctor has advised you not to exercise. Okay, listen, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about those of us that have put in a hard workout and we're just sore. You need to learn the difference between being sore and being injured. All right. So make sure that you know these two differences. Just understand your body, understand how your bodies feel, your body feels, how your muscles feel, whether it's an injury or whether you're just sore. And if you're just sore, a rest day does not look like doing nothing. It doesn't look like sitting around and just doing nothing. All right. I really want to hit home on that because rest day, I think people get confused, especially people new to exercise. People new to running, exercise in general. They get rest day confused with, so that means I'm just going to sit here and not do anything today. That's my permission. That is not your permission to do absolutely nothing. Get out there, keep your body moving, do that active recovery, walking, yoga, low intensity workout. My trainer, when I asked her what my rest week is going to look like. She said, well, we're going to give you a deload week and we're going to do lower weight with higher reps. So I'm sore. Guys, I smell like muscle cream. If you walk past me outside or in a store somewhere, just mind your business. Don't, I smell like muscle cream. Okay. But I'm not just going to sit around and do nothing. Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure to get that in.
Absolutely. And it could be like for my runners, there's magic in a fast, swift walk. Like going out there, like the mall walkers at the mall, just doing a fast paced walk, some type of yoga, the foam rolling. On my rest and recover days, it's always a swift walk, some type of yoga and foam rolling. It doesn't really take that long. You don't need to do that much.
Right.
And what that really does is it releases all the built up lactic acid from the hard effort, which mitigates the soreness and stiffness. It promotes the blood flow that you need to recirculate the recovery process. It keeps your heart rate steady. So you're maintaining fitness because your body doesn't know the difference, whether you're running or lifting, the heart's just beating, right? So you're still getting some exercise there with the heart. So
yeah.
All right.
Oh, and
the only final thing,
get rest, guys.
Get the rest. The only final thing, and I don't understand how the magic happens, but Epsom salt, whatever's magical in that stuff, pour some of that in a bathtub and takes that Epsom salt bath because that will really help. And I don't know anything. I have no idea how that works. So don't drink it.
And when I just get your rest, no. I mean, get your sleep. Get your sleep, guys. I didn't even realize we were running over because this is a great topic here. Sorry for thank you so much for giving us those extra few minutes, but make sure you get adequate sleep so your brain can repair. That also helps in your muscle repair. So I set my alarm. I didn't even have to set my timer last night. It was 8:30. I'm like, babe, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Grabbing the dog, going to bed. So get your
sleep is incredibly important. Yes. That's where you rebuild. So it's a critical component of your training. So, all right. This week, my favorite part of the show is Weekly Wake Up. This week's Do Hard Things Spotlight winner is Zanita Crawford. I've had the pleasure of training Zanita now it's been almost 2 years. This is her second dogwood. When we first started working together, she could barely run a mile. Like she was just really struggling. And over the past 2 years, she's made her health and wellness an incredible focus. Zanita is a veteran of the United States Navy. And she is, you see her here. She usually wears glasses. She's legally blind she came out here dogwood. This is her second dogwood. She came out here and crushed it. She actually had a little bit of a tumble. And Angie, you were out there to see her and cheer her on, but she recovered quite well and took it in good spirit. But she did get a little scraped up and broke her glasses and had kind of but she finished anyway. And I think that's an incredible testament to her fighting spirit. So Zanita, we appreciate all the work that you do day in and day out. She's also a member of the Forge, and she's constantly focused on her health and wellness. It's awesome to see you crush your goals. So
yes, for sure. Go, Zanita, you're amazing. Now, I wasn't there to actually see the fall. I was there. I saw her at the medical tent after the fall, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what happened to you?" But yeah, she is just, and she had a smile on her face. That's what gets me is, she finished the race. She took a tumble. You can see if you're watching the video here, if you're watching the podcast, you can see her face was scraped up, her knees were scraped up, but she had a smile on her face, and she was just like proud that she finished. She's like, "Yeah, I took a fall, but I finished. I did this." Dude, Zanita, you're my hero. You're awesome.
It's never too late to reinvent yourself, to get after it. And that's Zanita's is shining proof of that. And I love that she's made this a focus in her life and out there doing hard things, right? The conditions were tough. This is a tough course.
Yeah.
And look, she's finished. She's got a smile on her face. And I think there's something, because there's a lot of people who'd be like, you pay to go run? You pay, they just look at you like you're crazy. Well, yeah, because you've accomplished something meaningful and it feels good. And you're out there with other crazy, fun people. So I think it's incumbent upon all of us, whatever that is for you, go find something difficult to do, go challenge yourself and get out there and go do it. So Zanita, we appreciate you. Keep doing hard things, keep inspiring others. And we appreciate you. So
Yep.
any final thoughts before we go and crush this Monday?
Yeah. Hey, if you're out there and you're sore from a workout, move your body today. Get to moving. You'll feel better. Promise.
Absolutely. Move the body. I'm going to get up and go
Yes.
move the body here shortly myself. So,
Same.
well, Angi, as always, I love these our Monday morning get-togethers. And if you're out there listening, give us some feedback. What did we miss? Something? Was there a tip here that you prefer? We would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts and tips and techniques on the topic of recovery? And in the meantime, we're wearing some pretty awesome swag. Go to dohardthingsofficial.com and go secure yourself some swag. You got the Gold Crusher hoodie. Angie's wearing the awesome hat. I've got the other hat with the patch. I got the nobody cares, work harder. Nobody cares. Go to work. There's a bunch of motivational stuff over there. So Lacey's made some awesome swag. So grab yourself some swag. And if you're ready to level up, you want to connect with a like-minded community of people, level up your mindset, crush some goals. We also have the Forge Mastermind community that's available to you. So in the meantime, keep doing hard things. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right. We'll see you.